Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is October 16th, 2025. This is the Daily AI Show live coming at you at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you're catching us on the replay, we appreciate you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you kind of like what we're doing. This is episode 573. If I know, 4 is Thursday, must be 4. With me today, we have Beth, Andy, Karl, and I'm Brian. This is what we're talking about today. We're going to kick off with some of the latest AI news, as we have been doing. There's some really big announcements coming out. Then we're going to be talking about how managers might be nuking the careers of their employees when it comes to AI. This comes off of a recent video of one of our favorite people to talk about, I think, on this show, is just Nate Jones, and Karl's got a lot to share on that as well. And then Andy is going to be talking about a tool called Hux, H-U-X-E, if you want to follow or play along. And we're going to be talking about what that tool does, why it's important, and all the good stuff that goes along with it. So that's what we have on the docket for today. We're going to kick off things by talking about the news. And I have a few, but we have 4 people here. So let me throw it over to Beth. You've been out a little bit this week, so why don't we throw it to you? What news stories do you have? And honestly, too, if you want to throw in the news, I don't know if you want to, maybe tell people what you're up to this week, because I kind of feel like that is AI news as well.
It is AI news. So I have been at the She Leads AI conference, known as createconference2025.com. And one of the things that is going to be announced is that this was the in-person version, but there were a lot of international people who just didn't come to the US for reasons. So there is going to be a virtual conference, exact same thing. It's just going to be online, and that's going to be November 10th and 11th. So when I know more about that, like how you can register, we'll add that to the thing. It was great. It was amazing. If you are a woman in AI, I highly encourage you to connect with these people. It was inspiring. And the other little tidbit of news is there was someone there who learned about the conference by going to ChatGPT and saying, "What should I do this weekend to learn about AI?" So that AI optimization for search engine is a thing. People learn more about it. The other piece of news that I have that I'm sure everybody else has is Anthropic releasing 4.5 haiku, and in some benchmarks it passes 4, Sonnet 4. So but essentially what we're doing is like massively leapfrogging the top model 2 months ago in a way that's much cheaper, right? Anthropic has a set pricing. So haiku is $1, $5 for input and output tokens versus 15 and whatever that other thing is. Maybe 15.75, but very exciting. And one of the things that they were recommending and other people are recommending is that you can now use a tool set. You can have a task and you can analyze it with haiku sonnet. Wow, multiple Karls. This is exactly what I'm talking about, Karl. Here we go. Thank you for setting that up. You can analyze a task with Sonnet 4.5 and divide it into multiple agents that can function, that can do the functions in haiku. No comment about whether that was a haiku, Karl, or not, but yeah. So that's my big news. I think it's very exciting.
Definitely.
Anyone else?
I love it. I'm glad the conference went well as well. We love She Leads AI at the Daily AI Show. So really happy to hear that went off without a hitch and was really cool. And I know they have some amazingly bigger things coming. I mean, this is just the start. So definitely get involved with them. And I guess, Beth, you'll have more information for us on the international or the virtual side of things as well. All right, let's kick it over to either Karl or Andy, who has the next news story.
Andy.
Yeah, I'll go. The big news from Apple is the release of their M5 chip, and that's going into a smaller format MacBook Pro and into the MacBook Air. Plus, there's an iPad. that can use the M5 chip as well. If you've followed Apple's silicon, Apple started out with the M1 chip, and then M2, then M3, then M4. Their most powerful one is actually an M3, the M3 Pro, which is the most expensive and the most powerful, because again, these chips have not just the central processor, but they have a bunch of other associated chips. One of the things that the M5 provides, in addition to a brand new CPU, is it has a companion GPU and a neural processor as well. So there's a bunch of chips associated with any one of these devices that is going to be labeled M5 chip. And I'm envious. I'd love to have one. How long should I wait? Maybe M6. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I was looking at other screens you're talking about. Did you talk about them? Apple sort of low key putting out their new Vision Pro as well.
No, that also uses the M5 chip.
Right.
But yeah, the Vision Pro. But I also read a number of articles that was suggesting that Apple is, while releasing this revised version, is probably the last version of the Vision Pro you're likely to see, because they're setting that aside in favor of glasses as the format, rather than for augmented reality, not completely immersive VR like the Vision Pro can provide.
Which is kind of crazy to see in general, right? Because it was such a big announcement when they put it out there, and I remember it wasn't really the memes; it was just like the people, in cafes and stuff like that, and they got the Vision on or whatever. And there was one I just remember laughing at, that they were like, "This guy is locked in," because he was just at a table, right? And like within a day or whatever, the Vision Pro is coming out, and it just seemed like this year, kind of what you're saying, Andy, like. Oh, by the way, there was a new update Vision Pro, and then moved on. That's like, wow, how things have changed. AI can affect a lot quickly, and this is a marquee product. And maybe they will go to a different device or whatever. But wow, what a change 1 year can really make on something like that.
They're supposed to be moving toward glasses, and the Vision Pro, people that I watch, were super excited because it came out with a fabric band.
Yeah.
And that is yes, comfort. It backflows too. If you have the original, you can also add your fabric band.
Yeah. I've only ever tried, and it was one of the, I want to say Meta Quest or something like that. I've only ever really tried one of them. And I thought, I don't know if this is really the future. In my mind, I love the idea of that. I work and I don't have to sit at a desk, and I can kind of virtually work on screens and stuff. And I always think, it'd be nice to be able to unchain myself from this desk some days. But I didn't get the impression that was the technology that was going to get me there. And so, yeah, it probably is going to be some sort of glasses that augment my screens and allow me to, what I would assume is, if I have the glasses on and I'm talking to you guys, I can finish the show and walk away, but still go out for a walk, but also still be managing some work stuff while I was doing it, or, anyway. So I think that's probably what it is. Not something that's this giant, Apple Vision Pro. That's not going to get me outside and be safe for me walking in traffic and stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I wasn't sure if you mentioned that. Andy, Karl, before I throw one in, do you have a news story for today?
Yeah, just the deep integration between Salesforce and OpenAI, and what you'll be able to start calling. I'm not really sure what you can do necessarily. I don't know if it's part of the apps SDK they're going to put in, and then what, I'm not quite sure. But I was a little surprised, because I thought, and maybe Salesforce understands this, that it's kind of first mover advantage to be in, they're betting it to be in the platform, that people will rather be in OpenAI's platform than maybe Salesforce platform. If they're in they're in ChatGPT, then why can't they just easily access Salesforce? And then they have the new Slack integration as well. ChatGPT does. So interesting, because the whole conversation between SaaS and essentially MCPs are, well, are you going to become a data repository, right? Is that the only thing, because AI can just access your data. Now, what's really interesting about this entire piece is, I remember Benioff like last year, it was another interview talking about how like there's no way people will want to leave the Salesforce environment because all your data is there and so on. But now it's an interesting shift because, well, if I have ChatGPT, then I don't need to go into Salesforce. I can just access all my data and have ChatGPT do it, which is interesting because I can imagine that links to, I think, OpenAI's. There was the stats yesterday or a couple of days ago about they had 800 million users per week, but only 5% of them are paying. So 40 million. That's kind of low compared to the whole thing. And I can only imagine the only people who can access this would be the 40 million, right? It wouldn't be the 760 million, which, no surprise. So I'm really curious about that. Like what does that look like? And what does that look like for everybody else? Because like I was telling some of our clients, you know, it's a risk reward kind of thing. If you use the Apps SDK and you're one of the first people to be in that environment and it takes off like the Apple App Store, then you have first mover advantage.
Sure.
But if no one uses it, like member plugins, then you would have built everything for naught, right?
Or even custom GPTs that, you know, everybody was going to get profit sharing. And did that ever actually happen? Has anybody ever made any money on their custom GPTs that were in the store? I honestly don't know the answer to that. Whether anybody got any profit sharing. Let's say you have the #1 custom GPT, whatever that is, Wolfram's or somebody created something that's amazing.
And Nick Delvos.
Did they make any money? Did OpenAI pay them anything? Because they said they were going to. That was part of the plan. So I agree with you. It's like, I'd be cautious if I was one of these companies that had built the plugin, that built the custom GPT, and they were like, okay, here we go. This is going to be the new app store, and that's 2 failed launches. We'll say.
I just say fool me once, right? So
I mean, how many hours are you going to put into being for? I don't know. I would be cautious, I would say, especially if I was investing, you know, a good bit of money to make my product work on that platform.
I would say, you know, if anyone wants to try it, because it's not hard, I would follow a person named Alex Finn on YouTube. His latest video, I think, was on haiku, but who cares about that? The one before that is the one before that one before that. I can't remember. No, because it was like a hype one. It's like, oh, you can code whatever with haiku.
You said what you said.
Who cares about that? But what's more, like, I think, like, if you want to put your app in the Apps SDK or what he was using, he did a video on it. It was pretty cool because I don't know if any of you saw, somebody put the ability to play Doom on ChatGPT and they're playing Doom. And I thought that was really neat. I was like, wait a second. If you can do that, hold on. This actually may have a little bit more use than I'm just going to run my Figma or my Canva. I'm like, I'd rather just go to Figma or Canva to do this. But if you can play Doom and stuff, it's like, well, hold on a second. Like, what does this actually mean? And what can you actually do?
I'm holding out for Wolfenstein. Again, I want to go all the way back. I want to play Wolfenstein. I want AI to create all the boards as I'm live playing it, because we've seen this. By the way, I just pulled up Alex Finn because I hadn't heard of him before, but I'll definitely check him out. And I think for this show, we're just going to do this for our thumbnails going on. You just need to put a face of any of us. Plus, this changes everything, and I think I'm going to do that every day.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not even making fun of him. I literally think it's going to be one of us looking shocked every day of this live show. Yeah, there you go. We'll use that freeze frame for tomorrow, for today.
Banana can change our clothes.
Exactly.
Slightly different lighting.
All I need to do is just that. That's all we need. And
yeah. Watch me how I use that. I'm not mad, by the way. I'm not throwing shade at Alex Finn. I literally think there's like people looking shocked. There's a reason people do it and why it works on thumbnails. I've said this 1,000 times. I'm a huge I'm a huge thumbnail viewer. Yeah, I'm a huge YouTube TV viewer. I primarily consume if I'm doing TV watching, I always go to YouTube TV first before I'll go look at a Netflix or something if I'm just scrolling and trying to just like casually watch something. So I see a lot of thumbnails. I actually see the A/B split testing, which I find to be interesting because I'll catch the first thumbnail and title and I'll see when one of the people swap it and do the other one. I'm like, oh, the other one won. That's pretty cool, you know, or whatever. So yeah, not throwing any shade at Alex Finn, and I'll definitely be checking him out. So thanks for the share there. Okay, I want to bring up another one. I want to keep moving here really quick. This was one of the big news. Well, I'll just ask you guys before I bring on the screen. Did you talk about VO 3.1 or Google Gemini 3.0? Okay, because it just came out between yesterday and today, right? I was a little under the weather yesterday, so I couldn't make the show. But let's talk about that really quick. Introducing VO 3.1 and advanced capabilities in Flow. So not to be outdone by any sort of Sora 2 news, Gemini, who most of us know had put out, well, the best to date video creator that I had seen, and that was against Kling or any of the other ones that are out there across the world. Just came out with 3.1. I mean, I think we know just by the name, this is not a major release, but they are touting it. Usually if you just see a 0.1 on there, this isn't going to be huge, but it can still be something that's important. So they go through this article and they kind of give you an idea of like, 5 months ago, we introduced Flow and everybody loved it, which is true. I did. I used Flow for as long as they could give it to me for free. I used it all the time. And now you have to pay for it a little bit. But now what they're saying is you can refine your narrative with audio and more control. You can craft the look of your scene. You can control the shot from start to finish. You can create longer seamless shots, I think up to 60 seconds now, if I'm not mistaken. So like this one's 31 seconds. Edit your ingredients and videos with more precision. So these are all types of things that you can do inside of Flow. It's not free. I mean, I check both my accounts, and typically if I'm going to have access to something, it'll be through my scaled account because I just have higher, you know, whatever subscription, I guess, through the enterprise and all that kind of stuff that we have through there. But I would even have to add credits for that. So I personally don't have it. I don't know if somebody else did. I checked AI Studio and it's still VO2 in there because sometimes you'll get it for free. So it says it's also available through Gemini API for developers of Vertex. But we can just switch over here really quick to Flow because they do have a bunch of examples. So I'll just kind of let this go. You know, this is, I don't even know what that was supposed to be, Chowder or something. This is the televised home shopping feature, new product. It looks like they've done quite a few of these. And you can kind of flip through on here. It's a massive body wash. Let's see. They have making waves. These are all VO3 examples that they've put up on there. So you can go to Flow, which by the way would be, well, I guess Labs. But anyway, go to Gemini Flow. And I don't even really think, I mean, maybe you're signing with your basic Gmail. This has nothing to do with having access or being able to create them yourself. So if you want to go see the kind of things that they are doing with their videos, that's very weird. I'll tell you that one is cool because it's, I don't know if it'll go back to it. No, it went back to the other ones. But anyway, it was like mixing an egg in a bowl underwater. And to watch the algorithm work, how that egg might work and swirl around in the water is actually really cool. I don't know much about animation, all this stuff, but I do remember my friends who work at Pixar that I've known for decades now always saying that water is by far the hardest thing to animate. I do not know if that holds true for AI and videos like this, but nonetheless, I think this is really, really cool. So props to Gemini and Flow. And if you have access, go try it out. Go try to make some new videos. The stuff that they have on here looks very, very cool. But again, you know, and they're giving you the prompts, so you should be able to take their prompts. This is not as cherry picked as we would sometimes see, because a lot of times you'll see like Sora 2 and they'll just show you the result. What I love is that if you go into Flow right now, you can literally grab that exact same prompt and rerun it with VO 3.1 to see if you get an improved result or a similar result. So not as cherry picked as we've seen in the past.
Which is funny because not to be outdone, OpenAI allowed, I think now enables all users to generate 15 seconds, and they have a storyboard on the web app, which is now it's only for pro users, but like you can actually, and pro users can now do 25 seconds, which is kind of even longer, which is kind of crazy. And their storyboard is, I think, similar to Flow. The one thing before I stopped my Google Ultimate plan, the only thing I'm so used to like a pro editor, but when you go into Flow, you're like, why didn't they do more with the UI? Because right, I'm like, oh, I don't have to keep going back and forth. That was my only complaint about it. But I really enjoyed that. It was easier to do it there than trying to stitch all these things together. So I just am, it's going to be interesting I wish Jyunmi was here when we were talking about like the video capabilities, and you have storyboard, you have flow, 25 seconds, 30 seconds, like you're starting to creep into like real longer technologies. And I don't know if you've ever played with WAN or Seed Dance. It's pretty amazing too with audio. So I'm like, I have no clue where we'll be next year with all of this.
Well, as soon as they solve for like true consistency, I'm looking at these amazing underwater ones. And by the way, you guys should definitely go to Flow. I mean, I just don't want to take up all the time on the show because we could just stare at them. But definitely go to the Flow and look at what's there. Just like there's a guy riding a half pipe underwater with fish, wearing a snorkel. But it's just watching the way the gravity works with the water, right, and stuff like that is just really, really impressive. And with that, I lost my train of thought of what I was going to say to what you just said, Karl. But I'm sure it was amazing. I'm sure what I say. Oh, consistency. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Consistency. What I was going to say is like I'm looking at these really cool things, and another one is a lion underwater. Like what you really need is that exact same lion in the next 60-second clip, in the next 60-second, and next 60-second. That I still haven't seen through all of them yet. Sea Dance, all of them. They're good, but there's still a lot of that morphing going on. So once this gets to that level, and you can stitch this together, what's stopping you from putting together an entire 15-minute short or something like that? That looks as good as anything a college student would put out with a lot more time and effort and rendering and things like that in zero shoot schedule. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's I think people will be like everything will be so quote unquote perfect that I think like the backlash to that is we want to see more videos of people in their cars. So we're going to see a lot more people in their cars because everything looks a little too perfect. Yeah. So like, how do you tell your video generator, hey, could you tone it down just a little? That's a little too like cinematic. Like I want you to just like, can you make it like
add in imperfections?
Yeah, add imperfections, like add like a Coke can in there that's not supposed, like I don't know, like add something that,
or just a lens flare or something like that would have been in there. In fact, I was just about to wrap up the news, but the last thing I'll say is if you know I don't know, let's call him a pop artist, I guess, maybe Charlie Puth. You guys know who that is? He's put out a lot of famous songs and stuff, and he is on TikTok, and usually he'll do his like Professor Puth series on there. The dude is like a genius when it comes to, he's got perfect pitch and all that. So just watching him anyway, to me, is very cool because he'll pull out 6 synthesizers and explain something about 80s pop music that'll blow me away. But outside of that, he was just talking about how he didn't feel like AI would truly ever replace human music. And his whole point, my point in bringing it up, Karl, is that that's kind of what he said. He's like, it's the imperfections, it's the slight offbeat, it's the non-perfect drum track or whatever that like attract people. I think the answer is actually more in the middle of people will, in the future, I will go on the Spotify and probably enjoy just as much listening to some whole playlists that are entirely AI generated through like a Suno type thing. And also fully human live audience, like reaction, zero AI. I think there's a world where I actually enjoy both of them, and I don't necessarily care. I just, as long as it's being honest on how it was created, that's the only thing I really care about, is just be upfront about how you did it. But if you say it was fully AI, it's 180%. If it still moves me, it still moves me. I don't, it's still a good playlist. So anyway,
I really can't wait till able to create my own I don't think it's going to be here for a couple years, but like a full length movie based on licensed characters that I want to be like, oh, I want to license Wolverine and I want to license Superman and I want to make a 1 hour length Wolverine versus Superman video, like movie that I want to create. And I'll pay the licensing fees to create that, which would be interesting to see how that pans out. Because I think like there's a lot of things that people are like, hey, I want to license your character. I'll continue to pay you. You'll get the licensing fees for this movie. And if it becomes big, it'll, percentage of that will be paid to you because we like your.
And not only your Marvels, right? Like it'd be somebody who just is an up and coming artist who has great characters and they're able to license out their work and get paid for it. So, hopefully there's a lot of ways that more people actually end up getting paid with this. Okay, unless anybody has any other, do you have one more news? Because I know we're running on here.
I tuned out for the whole video thing, and now I want to come back to something that Justin mentioned in the chat. Yesterday we talked about this tiny recursive model, which is just 2 layers in a deep neural network. Okay, it's a shallow network. It's not a deep neural network. It's a shallow network, 2 layers, and only 7 million parameters, but outperforms many of the frontier models on ArcAGI. Not many of the main frontier models are better, but lots of models in the list of models that we have available. Now, MIT has introduced the same technique, but not after Tiny Recursive Model got some news. They've been working on it for some time, and they have recursive language models, and they released this. It's a technique that allows models of much larger size to recursively call themselves in order to process reasoning. And what they did, which is interesting when you talk about shrinking things down, like Haiku performs almost as well as 4.5 or Opus, they took GPT-5 and gave it a long context task, and then gave GPT-5 Mini the same task, but powered it with this recursive language technology, right? So it did this recursive processing, and it outperformed it by doubling the performance on long context benchmarks. So it's a technique that's really making smaller models much more effective than we thought they could be before by doing this sort of it's not self-reinforcement, but recursive application of the same kind of task to itself over and over again.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. That's really cool. I'm glad thanks, Justin, for bringing that up and bringing it back around, Andy, on that. All right. I actually have even more news stuff too, but I'm going to wait because I'll bring it up tomorrow on tomorrow's show, which is totally fine because I want to make sure we have enough time for our 2 main segments today. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me which way we go. Andy, do you want to do Hux first, or Karl, do you want to talk and kick off things about the Nate Jones video? I think either or is fine.
Either. Yeah.
Okay,
Andy, do you want to go?
Yeah. Let's go with Hux first. Let's switch it up and do the tool first. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot to show because this is a voice only. No, not voice only, but it's on your mobile device. And Hux was started by the core team of people who built Notebook LM. Now, recently, you've been seeing some posts on social media from a fellow named Jason Spielman, who was the lead architect of Notebook LM inside Google. And together with 2 of the principal engineers who did Notebook LM, they founded this company called Hux. It was actually founded in December of 2024. So Notebook LM has proceeded with under other engineering leadership, but the original kernel of Notebook LM was the people who are behind this application. So what is it? So this trio left Google to build faster and more creatively outside the Google corporate constraints. And what they were building was an audio-first AI experience, systems that talk to you rather than sit behind screens. And you can get why that's so important in the history of Notebook LM, because the podcast functionality in there is really what gave them such, fame, because that was a breakthrough kind of experience of the delivery of information from an AI. Okay, so they want to make it more interactive, more personal, and more conversational. And so I'm going to show you now what it is with an expectation that's going to be very embarrassing because it's going to be about my particular morning. But Hux gives you this. Okay, I'm showing my mobile phone interface here of the Hux app on iOS, and basically what it is this good morning, Andy, or good evening, Andy, or good afternoon, Andy. Whenever I pick it up, it's going to give me time relevant and well packaged context for everything that's in my mail, in my calendar, and in news. Okay. And all the newsletters that are in my mail, like digesting all that stuff and creating channels that are relevant to me. So now I'm going to play just an introduction to it so you get a taste of what it's like. But it's going to be embarrassing. It's going to tell you some personal things about me, probably. I don't know. Okay. Let's see here. So I'm just holding it up here to the microphone. Well, that was not
an early start today and a Thursday with a bit of variety ahead of you.
Looks like you're kicking things off with that trip to Costco Tires. Then you've got Ella's session on the calendar. We'll glide through your schedule first, then loop back to the interesting stuff in your inbox and newsfeed.
This morning, some big waves in the tech world. Apple and Google both dropped major hardware and AI updates. Plus, there's plenty happening around AI partnerships and infrastructure. Definitely some industry shakeups you'll want to hear about.
All right, let's get into the calendar side and see how your day is lining up.
All right, Andy, your Thursday.
So anyway, that gives you a taste of it. So I'm going to stop that now, and I'm running that at 1.25 speed, just because I listen to everything at that speed. So it might have been a little less intelligible if you're used to listening to things at normal speed. But in addition to that audio packaged overview, which I could do while I'm, out there shoveling manure, right? I can listen to everything that's contextually relevant to me, including they're doing just as Notebook LM does. They're digesting the actual content of the inbox items in my email. So when it goes over to email, it's going to go and it's going to give me really sensible highlights of what's going on, including all the newsletters I received. So you heard that it gave me a little like a highlight preview of what's happening in the sort of world of AI, which is, pretty dense in my inbox. Now, the reason I wanted to show this today is there's very few times when I say almost as immediately as I try a product that's on the short list of the things that I'm going to use every single day.
Wow.
And this is. So if you love Notebook LM, go get Hux and see how Notebook LM's technology, advanced by the core inventors of that technology, happens on your mobile device, digesting using AI everything that you need to know and do without any effort on your part at all. And all you have to do is listen.
I wanted to just bring it up really quick on screen because I was trying to find their website, and that was Perplexity once again made that hard. It's my least favorite thing about using Comet is to find one website is sometimes a little tough. But anyway, lo and behold, it's hux.com, HUXE.com. Not that hard, but it's all you. What I wanted to bring up though, and I just didn't hear you say specifically, Andy, is this part, which says that audio that actually listens back. Interrupt and say, wait, explain that differently, or give me more technical detail, or actually, what about this other thing? So you were saying, like, I love this idea. I'm going to go try it. By the way, I have so many different AI newsletters alone that it would be great to get that, especially when I'm doing the 1 hour round trip, drop my daughter off at school with her friends type thing in the morning. Sometimes I'm stuck in the car and stuff. So it'd be cool for that. But I do love this idea of like being able to interrupt if they bring up a news story and I'm like, wait, hold on. What did you just say that, they just did with haiku? I mean, nobody cares about haiku, Beth, but like,
Okay, I am also going to say that while we are brilliant and bring all wonderful things to you, it is also true. Gareth mentioned in the chat that he and Gwen had a whole conversation about Hux in our community hub. So don't sleep on our community as well.
I missed it.
So
Yeah, thanks for teeing that up. But I found my own way to it eventually.
Yeah, our community is awesome. Go to the dailyaishowcommunity.com if you want to join our Slack community. It's free to do so. And yes, it is where we are having great conversations. Clearly, we missed some along the way, but it's where our community is having great conversations outside the live show. So yeah, absolutely do that. And yes, Beth, obviously I'm joking about the IQ thing, but I do love that you could cut in, is my point, and ask for deeper conversation about it. That's really cool, Andy. Actually, I'm with you. I had been using, I don't know about you guys, I know, Beth, you've sort of talked about this. I've been using more of these AI apps in my car, which has been a little bit easier to do. In fact, this morning, I won't get on a tangent on this, but my daughter and her friends were all in this biology class because, it's your typical freshman year biology, right? And it's not a particularly easy class, and I don't get the impression that the teacher makes it easy for studying for tests. So as a joke, sort of not joke or whatever, she's studying about cell and cell movement and the parts and what their functions are. And I had ChatGPT create a song for it, and I threw it into Suno, and it took less than 5 minutes. And I was, let's say, forcing, because I was controlling the radio out of the car. I forced my daughter and her friends to listen to my Suno created pop track about cell membranes and Golgi bodies and mitochondria and all the fun things. And I found it enlightening. And my daughter kind of listens to the whole thing. She's like, "That's great, but it'd been great if it was actually on the topics that are on the test." I said, "Well, then your mom led me wrong, because your mom said it was about, whatever." And so Sophia goes, "No, that's fun." She's like, and her friend was saying it was fun too. She said, "But not exactly the topics that they did." I said, "Listen, I put about 5 minutes into this, so you get what you get." But it was Suno, Udio, they're all amazing. And it put out a perfectly good pop track about that. So anyway, all right, let's pivot a little bit and go into our other segment. And that is, Karl, do you want to set this up? It had to do with something Nate Jones put out, but you pretty much right away are like, "Hey, this is important. I'm talking to my clients about this. Let's get into it." So can you set us up a little bit of what you saw in his video, why it inspired you, and then we'll kind of go from there?
Yeah. So in his video, he's mentioning how the AI that we have today, all the features and tools and capabilities, people like the people who are setting those budgets, who are enabling people to have access to those tools at work, are having essentially having an impact on that person's career, right? Whether you set aside money for Copilot, ChatGPT for business, Claude, Gemini, whatever that is, if you look at how we've allocated software budgets in the past, it can't apply to where AI is today, right? And he's even saying a simple $20 a month budget is not enough for all your employees, just because of what AI can do and what proper training and access to the right tools for your employees, how it'll impact your business, but also impact their careers. And I thought because I wrote a post on this too, because I thought it was really important how it really touched it. We could see still the way that people deploy this is still it's like connected to the legacy operations that they have, right? So we either have, I don't know, $400 of software budget per employee, so they've allocated, and that includes everything from your Office 365 to any other tools that you have, like Adobe, whatever that is. Or you have, hey, we're going to deploy Copilot, and that is our AI strategy. Everyone has access to it. We're an AI first company now. Good for us. Or on the other, the really end of the spectrum, you know what, we want to wait how these things play out first. So we're only going to give the senior people in our company access to ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot licenses, right? So that's the three that we've seen in company the majority of the time. But I think, yes, it is a detriment, because I think we all know a lot of people are seeing all this AI news, and the one constant is, hey, you better understand how this works, because more employers are looking for this capability, right? That is throughout all the job loss, all that kind of stuff. That's like a very constant that most people are talking about, that are, hey, you've got to up your AI skills in one form or the other. But then when they start seeing, so you'll start seeing companies who are investing the actual training and tool capabilities for their employees versus those, hey, you can only have this license, and because we're an annualized budget, that's all you get. And I think it's important for their careers. You're like, wait a minute, don't I want to be in a company that actually trains me? And we were talking about this, Brian, a couple of days ago, where he said, one, say 3,000-4,000 investment, like to 20 or 25 employees, training, multiple tools, higher capabilities, you can get a lot more out of those 20 to 25 than hiring one employee for $100,000 with benefits. It's not even a question.
Not even close. Yeah,
not
it's
even
not
close.
even.
But we're talking proper training, right? We're
Right.
not talking, hey, a lunch and learn and an LMS, and here you go. We're talking like, hey, ongoing training that would lead up to about $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 per employee.
Yeah.
But there's very, very few companies who are doing that. And even those that are training, I have yet see like that type of commitment versus, you know what, we'll just hire a couple people, and you know what, the short-term thinking is, oh, these people, their tasks are gonna be automated, so I'm gonna get rid of them. And I was like, that's very short-term thinking, because you could redeploy those people with proper training, with proper tools to take your company in whole new different directions. But instead, what you did is cut them, and then you're still hiring different people, just in different avenues. So I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So that's what it was really interesting, what he was talking about and what we're seeing in the market.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you just from my perspective with Scaled, we are definitely now seeing more companies, either because we've already done work with them, which I understand, they're seeing success with us and then whatever. But to your point, Karl, signing much, much longer not month to month or like a one project, but we're filling out entire Kanban boards of new AI potential across the entire go-to-market teams. So your customer success and stuff like that, marketing's in there obviously too. And that's not the only areas we're playing in, but to your point, we're definitely seeing some, not everybody, who are awakening to the idea of, oh, number one, we don't have the resources nor the time to figure this out internally. So two, we're going to bring in experts, consultants, right? You 0 to 60, me, Beth, Andy. We're going to bring in people who have a better grasp of what's currently going on and how to save us. Three, we expect those people to save us from maybe investing long-term into some AI technology that's going to soak up a lot of budget that's unnecessary, because we've seen that too, because whatever, right? So hopefully good consultants are doing that. Four, the training part of it, to your point, like it's not just about this one-off training. It's not going to stick. You're not going to get people to buy in or have change management after that. It is going to be a long slog, a long grind. And who do you want working with your company who's willing to take that on? Because it's not easy. But most companies I'm finding, at least the ones we're talking to, are willing to bring in consultants like what we're doing at Scaled and 0 to 60 and others, where the goal is, hey, this isn't about the thing you can build for us. Yes, we want you to build us solutions. We're actually thinking about how to add you to our full permanent annual budget. And a lot of people are looking at that as we're in Q4. They're setting up their budget for 2026. I'm not going to say this is the majority by far, but I'm definitely seeing customers and clients of ours who are like, we're baking you in plus that 3,000 to 4,000 that you were just saying, Karl, perpetually, because that's what we think it takes for us to get it. And we're okay. And this is totally new for me. We're okay with the fact that we don't know what the actual AI solution you're going to build for us. We're entrusting that you will figure it out, and then you will build it at the right time with the right people, and you will take care of the training. It's a massive amount of trust, and it's humbling, you know, when clients come to you and say, we trust you to do this. And it's a lot of pressure, frankly, as the consultant, to come in and say, you know, thank you for trusting me, and I'm going to help you lead your company and what you're trying to do into the future with AI without any missteps. And when you put all that together, it's got to be the best money they've ever saved. Because to your point, Karl, they're probably still less than $100,000, $100,000 employee plus benefits, all of that.
Absolutely. And the other piece that he said in this video, that Nate Jones said in this video, that I think you're both talking about but hasn't been named, is the paradigm shift that we are not in a software world anymore in this context, because you could budget for software, and when software changed, it kept its same abilities and it just added some. And this feels like that piece. Like, it isn't a learn to do the software. You can budget your software training, right? Like, everybody come in, you learn how to merge now. Very exciting. And sorry. And then you move on. That's not this. And I thought it was a really interesting piece, because we talk about the paradigm shift is in understanding when you adopt the new model, the new version of the model, it didn't keep the old abilities and now just added something. You have to get to know it all again. And this is just the other side of that.
Yeah, and, you know, maybe your solution is that you have to ask for a stipend or a budget for yourself. You know, just because your whole company isn't ready to move forward with this doesn't necessarily mean they don't support you and what you're trying to move forward with your career. So sometimes the answer, I know it may not be the popular one, but sometimes the answer is to go with a good plan and say, this is what I think is going to make a difference for what I do and also for the company. This is what I think the budget is going to be for that, for me to have access to this tool, and this tool. You know, I think that's going to come out to $200 a month. Can I get approval to have a stipend for these resources, these AI resources, you know, going forward? It's not my salary, but can you just add it as tools that I have access to? I think a lot of people would be surprised if you came up with a strong enough plan that they might get approval for that, because the company may not be ready to move forward with everybody. But if you step up and say, this matters to me, I mean, it depends on the company, obviously, and leadership, but I've seen that work. I've seen where I've been able to go to my company and say, this matters to me in my house in Tampa and what I'm trying to do. And can you guys cover this part? Because this is how I figure it. And more times than not, at least in my experience, I work for a small company, there's been more yeses than nos, where they say, Brian, we trust you. You're working, remotely. And if you're saying that's something you need for your unique environment, understood. Be that hardware or actually software or training or going on site somewhere, you know, that kind of stuff. So anyway, Beth, any thoughts? Yeah.
That was a story also told at the conference where people were sharing that they are now in charge of AI set, like blah, 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 blah. And that was because they were the person talking about AI. They were the person bringing up AI, asking the AI based questions, and that then became natural. Like, well, okay, so you should be the one who's in charge of this next thing. Also, at the end of Nate's video, he does actually say, if you're a manager, this is for you. Go do what I just said. If you're working for a manager who hasn't done this, send this video to your manager and have a conversation. So if you don't feel like you can make the case, you can send Nate's video and have a conversation about it.
Before you jump in here really quick, let me just bring this up from Greg. He said, pro tip, I take all of Nate's transcripts and let my custom GPT project digest. I'll go you one better, Greg. Create a custom workflow that turns those transcripts into an email, which then becomes a newsletter, which then you just allow Hux to tell you what was in all of Nate's last videos. Then do that for all your favorite AI followers on TikTok, such as, I don't know, maybe Karl, and then you can just get that in your daily digest from Hux. It'll tell you all about what Nate said yesterday, or anybody else on it. So just ways to think about this. But I love this pro tip, Greg. Great job.
Have any of you used the Ask feature on YouTube, the ability to like
Yes.
when you
I
hit
have it
ask.
now.
I've been using that a lot more because some videos obviously are really long, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to get the gist of this, or where does that person say this, or they actually break it down quite well. If you don't want to go through the entire video, usually with Nate, I'm on for a walk or doing something, and that's why he's playing. To me though, his latest video even was, I found even more useful, the 6 principles your competitors don't want you to know. But it's his principles are actually so bang on that I have a presentation due on Friday. That's what I'm going to be using on the different levels, because I was like, you described it like I have that kind of in my presentation, but the way you described it is actually so good that I'm just gonna rip it to say, though, these are the 6 how AI is being deployed and how you should deploy it, like how it's So I thought that was neat. But going back to the topic too, just in terms of what Gareth was saying, it's like most companies do not have an AI line item. There's no line item for AI, right? It always falls into the different departments that have to find the money. So I'm assuming, Brian, for most of the work, it's whatever GTM sales budget is pulling that money and paying scaled. For me, like a lot of the dollars is coming from all over the place. It's like either an innovation budget, or they're just pulling it from different areas, or there's like a pot that one of these people, they're like, oh, we have a pot of money that we can use. Like that's where that is, but there isn't an official AI component to it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
or it lives under IT because it's a software expense.
Yeah,
right?
We have seen that. Yeah.
Usual.
But you're right. It's usually like whatever that GTM function is, they're the ones that have to approve that budget, which, by the way, definitely makes it harder than if there's just one big pot, obviously, that you can pull from and say, well, we're going to help all these areas. But you can imagine if you're the head of marketing, you'd be like, I'm all for these AI changes you have, but if it's coming from one big pot, how do I make sure that I get priority, or that my ideas get built first? So it does get a little tricky, right, with that. And we've definitely run into that with Scaled. So right now, to your point, it's typically by budget of department, unless there is some odd IT budget that's out there.
Yeah, and I think it's also the interesting thing about this is why the way that businesses operate in terms of their operations and how they do things has to change, because if you have an annualized budget and one client asked us, hey, we're setting our budget tomorrow, what tools should we use? And I was like, we just came off your discovery. I have no clue. Just like, but we need this by tomorrow to submit it. So we're screwed. Like, we have to have it for a year. But like, could you change it? No. And I was like, that makes no sense. So what I told them to do is like, you know what? Why don't you just do this? AI tool A, AI tool B, AI tool C. Here's the budget, and just have it as AI tool, because probably in 3 months you may want to switch, and your budget, I don't want you to lock you into something, so you have the flexibility to do that, because it makes no sense for you to use one tool and then 3 months later this amazing tool comes out, but you can't use it because you're locked in for 7 months. That I was like, do not buy annualized anything. Don't lock into any kind of vendor. Like, give yourself full flexibility. But I think most companies, especially larger ones, there's like a need for stability, and there's a need, like, it's just annualized budgets. Like, I need to spend money now, and that's it. I don't have any more money till next year, and I have like maybe a pot of like my slush pot, but that's all I have. And I think the way that you approach AI is so different in terms of budgeting too. But it's so hard to do that.
I think we need like a John Doe or whatever the name is when a screenwriter doesn't want to be doesn't want their actual name on the credits anymore. Like, we need something like that, like Alpha Tool AI, Bravo Tool AI, or whatever it is, so that everybody understands what we're doing.
And I've owned my own businesses and stuff, but nothing I would say similar to Andy what you've had experience in your professional career. So like as we wrap up here really quick, do you just have a few thoughts maybe on, you have run large budgets several times based on the stories you've told and stuff. So if you're sitting in one of those roles today and you're thinking about your 2026 budget, perhaps maybe at this point it's already been done, but it's Q4. You're thinking about 2026. Is there any insights you can provide in terms of how somebody in a role like that, a CX role like that, might be thinking about AI in terms of how they're going to budget? Is it maybe more like what Karl is suggesting, or any other insights there from your experiences?
I think one of the big losses for most companies that had faced resource constraints and in effect hobbled the ability of their employees to learn, rapidly and excitedly about AI and how it might apply to their own workflows. The big loss there is that now that whole group of employees is kind of behind competition that did invest and took an R&D kind of mentality to it. Not, oh, this is going to be an ongoing operational cost and I have to constrain it, but rather, hey, this is transformational. And it could even mean that it's going to disrupt the whole concept of how we're organized in this industry or in this company. And instead, be willing to exhaust certain experimental funds in ways that didn't provide any immediate return, but had the tangential benefit of informing the employees in that company about what works and what doesn't work, and give them the opportunity to fail. Like real entrepreneurial spirit is all about, hey, fail fast and furiously until you get to the right solution, right? And that's the way we should have approached it in large companies. And so if I were going to be making a decision about budgets today, I'd be investing heavily in things that would create sort of scouts and bird dogs out there for the things that are coming down the pike. And I wouldn't, as most companies I think have done, and I've observed a few of these, tack on AI responsibility in the company to somebody who also has a full-time job. That doesn't work. So I would probably favor, staying free of adding an employee who's focused on AI for this purpose of AI literacy and development, research and development inside the company. And instead, spend the excess hourly rate that a consultant commands, but you don't have all the overhead burdens that you have with an FTE. So I think that they missed an opportunity if they didn't invest heavily in their employees' understanding and skills and capabilities in AI.
I do think we have to be a little bit empathetic to those managers and directors too, because they're getting the pressure from their high above too, that, hey, you need to, this is the budget, or you have to constrain your budget because, things are not looking well, or we've got,
there's uncertainty in the markets today that causes a lot of discretionary spends like that on R&D to collapse.
So it takes certain type of people that would be more long-term thinking, but also understand the short-term ramifications. It's like, hey, I have to invest in this, or I have to fight IT to do this way, because if we don't, this has big implications to my team, not just my team as in working for this company, but as a good leader, you also want to know, hey, I'm also on the lookout for the well-being and the future of the people who are working that I'm leading, and whether they are in this job or the next, it's important for them, right? And I think that sometimes we miss that. It's like, hey, the person that's working, you're working with, I know the entire focus is just you got to get them to produce in the company, but I'm like, no. Like, to get them to produce, they have to know that you're looking out for them, and this is how you look out for them, because I'm sure they're thinking, hold on a second, like, AI's coming, everyone's going to say it's going to take my job, I got to get skilled up in this, and my manager's not doing anything or like barely, versus someone who's like, hey, they're really invested in me. They're fighting for me to get me that training, even though they know I may leave this company. That's like a way different mentality. But there's very, very few leaders that I've seen who that's how they're thinking about with their teams.
It's a breath of fresh air when you see it, for sure. Because I agree with you. It's not something we see a lot. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up there. We're on time. Thanks everybody for hanging out today. Thank you for everybody in the comments. There was just so many comments. People were just participating in different ways and joking with each other. Always feel free to come and hang out with us live. You can do that by going to our YouTube feed. That's the easiest way to do it. Go to the live episode. Tomorrow, for instance, is scheduled, so you already know it's there. You can set yourself a bell or a reminder. So appreciate everybody in the comments. Thanks to everybody here today, Beth, Andy, Karl. Great discussions as well. I know I'm going to be downloading Hux as well as playing around with that as well. So thanks, and I like for what Greg's ideas are too. So that's it. Tomorrow we'll be back for another new show. Come back and hang out with us. But until then, bye guys.